Prince Khalid bin Al-Saud of Saudi Arabia spent years living in America. He flew first class across the country, stayed in five-star hotels, drove Ferraris, dined in the most exclusive restaurants, and was given expensive gifts. His presence alone was enough to open the most exclusive doors. But there was just one problem. He wasn't from Saudi Arabia or a prince. He was actually a Colombian orphan. Before he pretended he was a Saudi royal, he was Jose Moreno, born in 1970 in Colombia. The country wasn't an easy place to grow up in at the time because of the civil war. It was especially cruel for Jose because his parents gave him and his brother up, and he was forced to care for his little brother all alone. But Jose wasn't going to allow his circumstances stop him from getting the life he believed he deserved. For over 30 years, he managed to convince anyone who listened that he was royalty. And how he did it is one of the most unbelievable stories of deception in modern history. This is what was going on inside the mind of the Prince of Fraud. Before we get into the story, here's what we found and what we concluded after days of researching this guy's life. Jose didn't just lie to get rich. At least, that's not the only reason. For starters, he struggled with trusting adults all his life because as a kid, his parents left him behind and the ones that were around let him down. We can't really get into what happened to him at a young age, but if you're curious, feel free to look it up. Anyway, Jose stayed in survival mode for a long time because of that, even if he didn't know or admit it. And of course, he lived in delusion because it felt significantly better than the truth. As we tell you the story, we'll explain why and it will all make sense. So now, let's see how it all began. Jose had harsh beginnings. From an early age, he was forced to grow up fast after being abandoned by his parents. That left him at just 5 years old to care for his younger brother, Daniel, who was only 3. The two brothers had nowhere to go and ended up on the streets of Bogota. Jose did whatever it took to survive, even as far as doing things no child should, just to keep his little brother fed. Eventually, the two brothers were taken to an orphanage. The orphanage was crowded at the time, struggling to care for all the children who had nowhere else to go. Luckily, around that time, the Colombian government made it easier for families abroad to adopt kids in need. That's when an American couple, Jim and Nancy from Michigan, saw the two boys and decided to adopt them. They brought them to the US and gave Jose a new name, Anthony. They came to Colombia searching for a child to give a better life, but what they didn't realize was that the child they chose had his own plans. No matter how comfortable Anthony's new life was, he was still a Colombian kid in a white suburb and he got bullied for it. With nowhere to fit in, he started spending time alone at home. That's when he found a TV show he obsessed over, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. He would watch it every chance he got. The show was filled with a lot of mansions, private jets, and powerful people. But one man stuck with him more than anyone else, Adnan, a Saudi billionaire. Anthony watched how the world treated men like Adnan with respect, with awe, with no questions, and something clicked. He saw how money, or at least the image of it, could erase everything he felt insecure about. Watching the show turned to dreaming, and dreaming turned into pretending. Pretending gave him a way to escape feeling small, abandoned, or out of place, because even with loving parents and a safe home, Anthony still carried the weight of his past. He had been let down too many times as a child, so trust didn't come easy. So he chose to build his own world, one where he was powerful, admired, and untouchable. That fantasy turned into action at just 12 years old when he told a Michigan car dealer that he was the son of a Saudi prince. He explained he wanted to take one of the cars for a test drive, promising the salesman that his parents would pay for the car later. And shockingly, it worked. When the dealer gave him the keys to a Mercedes without question, Anthony got high of the attention and treatment, and he never wanted to come down. Later that day, Anthony's adoptive mom got a call saying, "Your car's ready." Anthony's adoptive parents thought it was a random lie and sent him to children's therapy. For a while, his mental health seemed okay, until he became a teenager and his adoptive parents divorced. What's worse was that his little brother went to live with their father. That broke Anthony. He had a mental breakdown and spent time in 2 psychiatric hospitals. Then he ran away and was back on the streets again. Anthony couldn't go back to the same family that took his brother away, So he clung on to the one thing that made him feel safe: lifestyles of the rich and famous. The same show he watched as a kid constantly, so he decided to travel to the city where it was filmed. Anthony drove to LA without a plan, but with a clear identity in his mind. He was a Saudi royale. He got lucky when he spotted a wealthy Arab family through a car window. He knocked on their door without hesitation, and he told them that he was Prince Adnan, the son of a Saudi king. In reality, that was the name of the Saudi billionaire he only knew and admired from the show. Regardless, Anthony put on his poker face and stuck to his story. He even started threatening the family with a clear message. If they didn't take him in, his father would be very angry. They believed him, and for 2 weeks, they treated him like royalty, but when they found out the truth, they kicked him out. But those 2 weeks were enough for him to decide that he wanted to be treated that way for a long time, because for the next 30 years of his life, he would continue to lie, and how he did it was nothing short of unbelievable. Anthony decided that if the world wouldn't give him the life he wanted, he would take it by pretending he already had it. He thought if a wealthy family could believe he was a prince, then so could important people everywhere, and that's exactly what he did. From age 16 to 21, Anthony turned the lie into a lifestyle. He opened fake bank accounts, forged checks, flew first class without paying, and stayed in luxury hotels by promising the royal bill would come later. He used fake credit cards, wore designer clothes, and even hired fake assistants to announce his arrival like real royalty. So how did someone with no money pull all of this off? It actually worked like a cycle. A fake royalty name got him a motel room. That motel room gave him a place to meet people. Those people gave him trusts, gifts, and money. Then he would use those assets in the next city and do it all over again. And the wildest part, he wasn't hiding. Anthony showed off his lavish life on social media, told stories about growing up in the royal palace, and bragged about his powerful connections. But that attention became his downfall when he was 21. The FBI got a lot of reports from hotels, stores, and airlines. The name Prince Khalid kept showing up, but the story never quite added up. Anthony was finally arrested when trying to scam yet another hotel. Agents found dozens of fake IDs, forged documents, and notes full of fake oil deals and royal names. He even claimed his money came from a relationship with a real Saudi prince. Anthony was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison, but his story was far from over. Anthony was behind bars, but he had a plan. He needed the best lawyers he could find, so he reached for the biggest names, even tried to get O.J. Simpson's famous lawyers. But one after the other, they turned him down because they didn't buy his story. All except one. Oscar Rodriguez, a Miami-based attorney, took the bait. Anthony told him he was Prince Khalid, son of the Saudi king, and promised him lavish rewards in return for help. And somehow, Rodriguez believed him. He posted $46,000 bail to get Anthony out of jail. Even recruited 2 local bail bondsmen who were convinced they were helping real Saudi royalty. They all thought they were making a smart investment and a very powerful client. Anthony didn't waste time. Right after his release, he and Rodriguez drove to an American Express office. Still using the same fake identity, Anthony claimed he lost his card and needed access to royal funds. He asked for a platinum card and told them it needed to have at least $200 million in credit and fast. He said his father would be very upset if he didn't get it. American Express asked a security question. What were your last 2 purchases? Anthony didn't miss a beat. He named the exact items, a couple of Rolex watches and a bracelet with emeralds and diamonds. How did he know? Because he had bribed American Express employees with those very Rolexes to get the information. The next day, he got a platinum card with $200 million in credit line and immediately started using it. But it didn't last because the American Express flagged the card almost right away. They called the bail bondsman directly and said, "Your prince is a fraud." Anthony was arrested again, this time for wire fraud. He was sentenced to an additional 46 months in federal prison, and Oscar Rodriguez never got his money back. Now, most people would stop here, but not Anthony. While serving his sentence about 2 years in, he began planning another con, all from his prison cell. This time, he targeted Syracuse University. He wrote letters claiming he was a wealthy Saudi prince who wanted to donate $1.5 million to the school. To make the gift official, he said he needed to wire money to cover taxes and fees before the donation could be released. Anthony used fake documents and forged signatures to make it look real, but he couldn't do it all from prison, so he involved his younger brother on the outside to help move the money. Anthony convinced the university to wire $16,000 to accounts controlled by his brother. The money was then funneled back to him. Eventually, Syracuse University discovered the fraud and told authorities. This scam added more time to Anthony's prison sentence. At this point, it was clear Anthony couldn't stop lying or cheating, no matter where he was, even when locked up. His mind was trapped in a powerful delusion. He truly believed he was a prince, and that belief gave him a sense of power and control he never had before. After Anthony got out of prison, he teamed with Carl Williamson, an asset manager at the time. Using Anthony's royal story and Carl's business skills, they formed a share company together called Marden Williamson International. They targeted investors with an offer to buy shares in Saudi Aramco, the biggest oil company in the world, worth over $1.8 trillion at that time. They claimed the company was about to go public and took advantage of that fear of missing out. 26 rich people believed in them and invested $8 million. The money came in and it seemed like their biggest scam yet, but Anthony was still hungry. That was when he went after another rich man named Jeffrey Soft, not knowing this man would be the one to end it all. And it was all because of one meal. Now, Jeffrey owned fancy hotels in Miami like Fontainebleau. This time, Anthony didn't ask for money. Instead, he told Jeffrey he wanted to invest in one of his hotels using his prince background as usual. To make the deal happen, Anthony said giving gifts was part of his culture, so Jeffrey would have to gift Anthony to seal the deal. Jeffrey believed him and gave him expensive things like watches, designer clothes, and even a ride on a private jet. But soon, Jeffrey started to feel something wasn't right. He began to look into Anthony's background. When Anthony found out, he got angry and said he would take back his hotel investment. To calm him down, Jeffrey apologized by giving him a $50,000 watch and taking him to dinner at a fancy hotel. That's when Anthony messed up, because at dinner, he ordered pork. Real Saudi princes don't eat pork because they're Muslim. That small moment made Jeffrey suspicious. From there, everything started to fall apart. Jeffrey reported everything to the authorities. In 2017, Anthony got arrested at the JFK airport. Back in North Carolina, federal agents also stormed into Carl Williamson's kitchen, his partner that helped him swindle $8 million. They took him in for questioning and interviewed him for 6 hours. That night, Carl unalived himself, leaving behind a note saying he was sorry. In 2019, Anthony went to trial and finally admitted to fraud, stealing identities, and pretending to be a diplomat. He was sentenced to 18 years and 8 months in federal prison. After years of lying and pretending to be a prince, it was finally over. But for Anthony, the story he made up felt more real than the lonely Colombian orphan he really was.